Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Phil Shapiro, and I am going to be speaking today about the importance of starting and maintaining a spiritual practice. What I'm going to do is go over the ABCs and the infrastructure for healing power students. The idea is to build a common language and get everybody on the same page. So, for example, when I refer to the movie or the house or fill your brain with wisdom pearls, what is a wisdom pearl? What is the movie? Once we learn these nuggets, these are the ABCs of how to understand healing power, and the classes will flow smoothly. So, new students would profit greatly by reviewing the following chapters before they attend the classes, because then they will have the language that we're using. So a little bit of time will go a long way. There is some study here, and it will take some time. So take your time, but build the infrastructure if you want to be a um, get to the front of the class kind of student in the healing power structure. So personal spiritual history. Very briefly, my story can be found in Healing Power 100 Days of Love, pages 1 through 3. And then looking at Healthcare Professional and Consumer Heal Thyself, Healing Power 100 Days of Love, pages 5 through 28 is an essential chapter. Without that, you won't know what's going on. To deepen your understanding, you would then go to Healing Power, the Methods, a chapter called Getting Started, pages 29 through 59. Those two chapters are loaded with important healing principles. It would be worth your while to integrate that material into your professional life. And then I would add the Serenity Prayer and Healing Power, the Methods is important. It's not 100% absolutely essential in the beginning, but it would help a lot. And then finally, illustrations and text boxes. So what I'm going to do today is go scan through this material. Some points through the discussion, I will focus in and read and ask you to follow along with me because it's like really, really, really important to get that early. And others, I'm just going to point out to you that it's there and that it really needs to be looked at by you and studied. And after we do this, if we get this under our belts, we will have a common language. We'll be on the same page and we can streamline through the material. And the focus will then be on two manuals, Healing Power 100 Days of Love, the qualities, and Healing Power, the methods. Those two manuals have 95% of what we need to look at in terms of using healing power as a methodology for self-help, self-healing, for professional and personal growth. Actually, it should be personal and professional growth in that order. So let's hit the ground running and go into the personal spiritual history. This is my life story in 2 pages. And it starts out with the two wolves, which is where I start the story, because without the two wolves, none of this really adds up. So let me take a minute to read this one because it's quite crucially important. Many of you know this, but some don't if you're just getting started. So an old Cherokee Indian was teaching his grandson about life. A fight is going on inside of me, he said to the boy, a terrible fight between two wolves. One is evil, and let me change that to painful problems or negativity. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. And then I would say a whole bunch more of negative or painful problems. The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. And for me, there's 100 healing qualities adding up to love. So that's the higher self. And that same fight is going on inside of you. And he says, inside of every other person, too. The grandson thought about it for a long minute. He was a thoughtful little guy. And he asks his grandfather, so which wolf will win? Now, isn't that the best question? And the old Cherokee simply replied, the one you feed. So I favor this because this is about cognitive behavioral therapy, moving from negativity, fixed core negative beliefs, or painful problems, to positive thought and wisdom pearls, to positivity. In my model, that's the healing qualities. And which one will win? The one you feed. What do you pay attention to? Where you put your needle of attention, that sets your intention, your will, that's your affirmation, and that's where your consciousness is headed. So this is neuroplasticity. We're creating new brain grooves with new methods and qualities, and that's going to change consciousness for the better in an unlimited manner. So I start here because it's critical. Then this is my story very briefly, and the healing model came out of my story. If you want to know the story in detail, you would read Healing Power, Physician Heal Thyself. Now, this chapter, Healthcare Professional and Consumer Heal Thyself, is a must because this has the basic ABCs of healing power. And this graphic here, or illustration, is the whole model on a single page. PMQ, problem, method, quality, is the essential healing principle that healing power has adopted for evolution. So the PMQ is a powerful, simple formula that has recovery, healing, and spirituality healing loaded in to it. It's a powerful formula. So P is any problem, physical, mental, emotional, interpersonal, spiritual. The qualities are 100, add up to love. And the methods are 15, 3 horizontal axis methods and 12 vertical axis methods. So now I'm skipping stone here. I'm like a skipping stone over a lake. I'm just showing you where stuff is now. But what I use this, so I'm not going to drill down and go into a lot of detail, except once in a while in this module, in this tape. I use this illustration in the beginning of my classes once you get this infrastructure under your belt. And I'll say to the students at the beginning of the class, what do you want to look at today? And we'll pick a quality or we'll pick a method, and we'll just drill down into that quality or method and see how PMQ unfolds in that dimension. So this is very useful. It's a one-page teaching module. I also use this clinically sometimes when I teach in my office. So here's where Albert Einstein showed up, and he whispered in my ear, hey, Shapiro, I think PMQ is the E equals MC squared of psychosocial, spiritual, and religious healing. And I thought about it for a long minute, and I thought, yeah, PMQ is seemingly innocuous, maybe even sterile or boring, but it is powerful. It's explosive, it's dynamic, it's energetic, it's just loaded. It's loaded, loaded, loaded. So I'm going to make that case. Every healthcare visit has something to do with pain. The saints say, put the qualities into the pain and it will manage it skillfully. They recommend the methods to do that. And that's called, in this model, rolling the wheel. And then traction devices for the wheel are a big deal. So I recommend that you study traction devices. And, if you spin the wheel or practice PMQ, love will be your guide, and it will contain, reduce, or eliminate your pain and guide you through the pain that is left. Love will grow until love is all there is. That's how powerful PMQ actually is. And you have to prove that to yourself. I would say, listen to me, but don't believe me. Prove it to yourself. Unpack this wisdom to direct personal experience by developing a spiritual practice. So we're going to hone in on pain here in this section and look at 2 levels of pain. This text box is enormously important. It divides pain into 2 levels: the inevitable suffering of life and our reaction to it. Reactivity is a big deal because it's what we add on to the inevitable suffering of life, and it is reversible. I'm not going to read this text box, but this is a must. Reactivity has 6 components involving the mind, emotion, desires, attachments, and habits. My acronym for that is DAH, D-A-H. Desires, attachments, and habits. There's a lot of trouble located right there. There's trouble located in the overheated mind and in excessive emotion. And then the body gives us an enormous number of problems and troubles. And then I throw activity in there because I think in the West we are hyperactivity junkies, running on a track of life, seeking pain relief through people, activities, events, and things, distracting ourselves from the time we get up in the morning until we go to sleep. Much of this is good, healthy, important, critical, and necessary, but then we go overboard. And when we use activity as a defense against looking at problems that need to be found and worked on, it becomes a problem itself. And then the ego, there's a chapter on the ego in Healing Power, the workbook. The ego is a big deal because it has healthy aspects and unhealthy aspects, and so much of it is unhealthy. And the short form is Clint Eastwood or Robert De Niro. Are you talking to me? Defensive, paranoid, proud, rigid, judgmental, greedy, selfish, fixed, negative, distorted, or paranoid beliefs, power trips, and so much more. So the ego is a big problem. And all these 6 add up to reactivity. So this is a big, important text box. Reactivity. Throughout Healing Power, reactivity will be a big deal. So when I say reactivity, I want you to think of these 6 components. And then watch yourself, because we all have this. This is universal. So it's a universal big deal. And this is a big deal because here's the sum total of the pain, the inevitable suffering of life, and the reaction to it. And here's M and Q, the methods and the qualities. This is the operations of love. So put love onto the reactivity, and you get to the inevitable suffering of life that you can't get rid of, but you're going to ride those pain waves just as they are. And now you're a skillful pain manager. And if you can do that perfectly, you're a saint or a master. Because love is the skillful pain manager. So you can be in love and pain at the same time without jumping ship. You have arrived. Here's the list of 100 healing qualities. And here are the important points about the qualities. I could read all these, but I don't want to take up the time on this video. Please read these, contemplate them, build them into the infrastructure of your brain, make neural circuits on these healing principles. These are monumentally important, every single one of them. This important points about the quality. There's a tremendous amount of healing power in here. Please review this. Integrate it. So here it is in a single picture. This is called the triumph of love over pain, which is really the whole model. Love is greater than pain. That's the thesis. And healing qualities, i.e. love, kindness, compassion, etc. The healing qualities are water for the fire of reactivity. So there's the P and the Q, the love and the pain. Love is greater than pain. But only if we have the methods, because we have to hold love and pain in the same space with the methods. And so here's the next section on methods. Little blurb bullets around each method. There's a chapter on each of these, but this is a introduction to the methods. So let's just say meditation. Right now, there's a place inside of you, me, us, that is absolutely still and serene, but our mental restlessness bars us from entering. Meditation is the solution to the problem. When we learn to meditate, we're going to learn how to slow the mind down, replace negative with positive thought, and eventually get into the room of stillness where you will find unfathomable beauty, joy, compassion, light, energy, power, elation, and ecstasy. So this is the formula, and I will be going back to this formula again and again and again throughout the teaching. Negative, choppy, turbulent, monkey brain. Positive, affirmations, positive thought, wisdom pearls. So we switch from negative to positive thought, and then we slow down the whole thing and get away from thought completely and get to stillness. So I'm already feeling better with positive thought, a lot better. But now I'm going for higher consciousness through the door of stillness, or the room of stillness, or the laboratory of stillness, because this is where I want you to go and prove everything that I say, or disprove it to yourself. That's your experiment. But in mine, stillness plus love, i.e. the qualities, stillness plus love, is combustible to superconsciousness. And then superconsciousness doesn't end, it keeps going to infinity. So this is the grand equation for healing power. All right, there are a bunch of other methods. We're also going to hone in deeply on yoga, but not hatha yoga. This is the deeper yoga that comes from the Bhagavad Gita and Hinduism. And basically, it's every religion, because every religion, if you look deep enough, you'll find 4 universals: love, service, wisdom, and stillness. And the yogis have classified it to bhakti, karma, jnana, and raja yoga. So you get these 4 things cooking, and you're going to move. You're going to make a move. All right, locus of control is a big deal, because you're shifting the locus of control from outside to inside. That's actually everything, because when we're attached and hooked to the outer world of people, activities, events, and things, that's good, but it's also the source of the bounce and the chaos. So that you're going to move from the outer to the inner world, where your new power base will be based on methods and qualities. And you'll be coming from the inside out in terms of the love rather than the outside in. Or let's just say you'll be shifting, and you'll be doing both, getting love both inside and outside. But when you are creating it from the inside in the love factory that you are, because we can make love grow, and then eventually the love is so big that you're sitting there like a purring cat, fully content. You don't have to have the outer world. And now your power base is set internally. So that's shifting the locus of control from outside to inside. It's a big piece of work. It's a lifelong project. Here's a sample of PMQs. Please take a look at this, but bear in mind that there's 15 of these, 1 for each method. But there's an unlimited number of PMQs because there's an unlimited number of painful problems. You have 15 methods and 100 qualities, so you could spin those 3 dials and create your own PMQ and go to work. And it doesn't matter what the P, the M, or the Q is, just do PMQ and you will evolve. Evolve means feel better, become a better person, and eventually experience super consciousness. So PMQ is a big deal. And this here This section here shows you how to roll the wheel. The simplest method is really the whole model comes down to, I'm going to take a minute to clear my throat. I will be right back. So the whole model comes down to this at the practice level. When you realize you've gone for a ride on the train of thought and you want to get off the train, that could be the anxiety train or the restlessness or I'm craving or I'm lonely. Doesn't matter what train you're on. It's like you just want to get off that mental train. Stop, breathe, present moment, reframe. Stop, breathe, present moment. All of that moves you from sympathetic to parasympathetic. It slows down that train. And then you put in a PMQ, anxiety meditation piece, and you're going to slow down the train and create a whole new beautiful ride for yourself. And then roll the wheel with a traction device means stop, breathe, present moment, anxiety meditation piece. Now you're going to meditate with the compassionate Buddha, the even-minded Krishna filled with joy, or the God of love and Jesus filled with compassion, love, and understanding. That's your wheel, and it's powerful. So you choose your PMQ, and then here's some instructions on how to make it more powerful. Read about the quality and the method, and then think about it, discuss it, contemplate it, affirm it, breathe, feel, visualize, concentrate, permeate, invoke powerful memories about it, create from it. Make that quality your faithful guide and companion throughout the day from moment to moment. You will see the change. These qualities are powerful. They're more powerful than the painful problem. If you practice the methods and the qualities, please review this box, 4 stages of change. 1, you notice nothing, no change at all. You're working hard, it hurts. You're not experiencing anything, but underneath that work is the infrastructure of a new neural circuit being built. This is the neuroplasticity that you're all familiar with. And once that neural circuit gets big enough, you're going to feel better and become a better person. That's a tangible experience of the qualities. The qualities feel good. That's why you feel better. And then it breaks into a superconscious experience. And then you come back to work and struggle. So it's a stage 1, 2, 3, spin and rotate. And eventually it leads to mastery, where the big shots live. The saints, the sages, the gurus, the God-realized masters. So some more important, all this stuff's important. Please read it all. Read these bullets. They're all important, especially if you work to get to this section on staging disease and recovery for low-income persons with chronic severe illness. Spin, float, integrate, liberate. This is a system that I use. It helps me to see what's in front of me, and it helps me know how to serve. And so please take a look at this. Spin, float, integrate, liberate. The integrate is regular recovery and healing on the horizontal axis. You can have full recovery on horizontal axis, but for liberation, you have to do the vertical axis, the inner being methods, because that's where higher states of consciousness reside. So this is spiritual health, right? So you go from spin, which is the dangerous stuff on the street, to meds, money, housing, where people are floating, hanging out, no particular path, not a lot of meaning and purpose. Then deeper recovery is get your social, recreational, vocational, and spiritual life back on the horizontal axis, and then start building a spiritual program on top of that for spiritual health. All right, and that's what healing power takes us to. Here's the 15 methods. Here's the staging of the recovery to 5 levels. Please read that, and then I can talk to you with this system. This will be the language that I'm using to teach. And then a bunch on traction devices and higher power options. This is where we kill each other over these concepts of God or no God, type of God. Religions kill each other within the religions, and they kill each other between religions. It's a mess. The human race is a mess around this stuff. So this model, we try to do better, and we float I don't tell you which ones I use or which ones you should use or if you should use any of them. I just float them because these are powerful you uh, if you if they're inspirational to you, and for many of us they are, they're very powerful. So we should get out of the way of each other. And I've set up rules for running groups and classes so that we don't get into trouble and enjoy these as options for the other person. So Healing Power floats these as a cafeteria of options. And then you pick, and we don't fight, we don't argue, we discuss. And healing traction devices and healing power options are not really much for discussion, other than to point out that they are there, and for some people they help. So the rules are: one person's traction device is the next person's gag reflex, nuke offensive language, substitute your own, stay in your own lane, don't debate, just discuss. Then we have classes that are dedicated to education and entertainment, and there's no food fight. And this section here, 100 Days of Love, is about some more really wonderful, important points about the healing power of the qualities. I hope you read this and integrate this material as well. Guidelines for groups and classes, I just gave you a few. We read those for new students. If there's no new students, we don't need to read them before the class. So that's what that chapter is. And then in this Healing Power Workbook, Fill Your Brain Wisdom, we go into the 100 Days of Love. So we pick a quality and say the quality is acceptance. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff on acceptance, and then appreciation, and so forth. So you pick a quality, drill down, and you'll see the power, the wisdom, the love is in there. All right, so now I'm going to go to Healing Power, the methods, and we're going to quickly review what's in the table of contents to give you a little bit of the lay of the land. So here we have, there's a nice little introduction. The Universal Healing Wheel is the chapter, the same exact chapter we just read, so you don't need to read that again. It has to be in each manual because somebody might just have this manual. So without that ABCs, they won't know what's going on. So I just repeated it here. It's also repeated in Healing Power, Physician Heal Thyself, as the middle section of that book. But then this chapter, Getting Started, is loaded. This is essential ABCs of how to start and maintain a spiritual practice. It's so easy to get in. Well, it's not easy to get into this stuff. It's already difficult to get to healing. But some people, as you know, start light a fire, but they can't keep it lit. And they go back to their problem story or pain story, the street, the drug, the unhealthy, terrible stuff. So how to start and maintain a spiritual practice or a healing practice, really, it's all the same, ultimately. And there's a bunch of stuff in here that's very important. I'm going to skim over it, and I hope you study it and build it into your brain and brain grooves. And the Serenity Prayer, I put that in here as a big deal. It's a very powerful prayer. It's in the Hall of Fame of Prayers. I hope you read that chapter as well. Then here are the methods right here. The 15 chapters for one for each method, and then some miscellaneous stuff that is also very important towards the it's called Putting It All Together. So the illustration and text boxes is all fun and very important stuff. So I'm going to show you some of that today, but I hope you go through this little list and study these. They're in Healing Power 100 Days of Love and in Healing Power the Methods. Look these up, study them, integrate it, and I'm going to show you some of that today. So here we go. Let me go to, I think on page 20. Where am I headed here? I want to get to, this is the material we were just in the other book. So here's where I want. Getting started. Chapter 3. This is all very important stuff. I'm going to skim through most of it and we'll hone in on just some of it. So there are key principles, practice principles. There are 12 of those. Then there's practice tips. These are really essential for maintaining a practice. And then some exercises, quite a few, and they're all quite important. So let's go through this. We did read the two wolves. So I put that in here again because it is a must. This whole thing is about love and wisdom, and which wolf are you feeding? So keep that in mind, because then when we want to take that wisdom, but let me back up here, because one of the definitions for healing power is a thing called a wisdom pearl. So I would say that this two wolves thing, and a whole, pretty much throughout this manual, there are wisdom pearls. It's like that's what I collect. When I see a wisdom pearl, I can't pass it by because it just basically grabs me or attacks me. It just sticks to me and won't let go. So I collect them, I write them down, and then they come out in model form. So what is a wisdom pearl? It's not just a positive thought, but it's a super positive, deep thought with the potential power to help us heal, not just in the moment, but over the course of a lifetime. The wisdom pearls have the potential to help us in every domain of life, but it takes time to understand them. It can grow throughout life, and even then, not be fully understood. Quick example, love is the great healer. Simple, but not, because it's profound, deep, complex, subtle, nuanced, unlimited, endless. There's no limit to its power. There's no limit to the variety of its manifestations. There's no limit to how it can work its way into our lives and help us untie knots and dissolve problems, how it can help us manage our pain skillfully, and how it will help us evolve to become better people. There's no limit to it. So love is the great healer. If we understand the power, the truth, the depth of that simple sentence, it creates a humble stance because it's bigger than we are, and you'll never get good enough at it until you're a master. And that's a long, long, long way off. And I would argue that every one of the 100 healing qualities is a wisdom pearl. And you're going to find a bunch of other types of wisdom pearls in the model. Let the story unfold. Let the pain story unfold. And then spiritualize that story. Deep healing in the room of stillness. Higher power options, such as omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence. So what we're going to do is take these wisdom pearls and drop them into the center of our consciousness, where they can sink in, where we can let them absorb, where they will be digested, and where they will expand. And when that happens, your vibration changes and you will feel better, and you're going to be a better person because you're applying this wisdom in the circumstances of your daily life. You're going to be practicing this wisdom in the moments, days, weeks, months, years, and lifetimes. You're going to take a wisdom pearl and chew on it, a bite-sized piece. Just chew on it, digest it, integrate it, and then another piece. And then when we do this work, we become that wisdom a little bit more every day for the rest of our lives. And the healing that we get is profound. All right, wisdom pearls. Get a support network of like-minded people. Learn how to be alone, because some of us are so busy we're never alone and get frightened, go into a kind of a withdrawal, and then get busy again to cover the withdrawal pain, but then you can't get to the deeper wisdom and the deeper healing. So learning how to pull back for contemplation and meditation, solo time, retreat times, huge. Stages of learning is this model. This is not an intellectual model. Ultimately, it's a lot of intellectual, but it's not ultimately an intellectual model. It's a practice model, and it's designed to build positive, powerful thoughts and wisdom pearls, but then to go to stillness, to contemplate and go to stillness, and then from stillness to higher states. So you have to stop reading, talking, thinking, and eventually contemplate and be still, and then come back and discuss, practice some more, have the experience. It's ultimately experiential, not talk, 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 experience, and then repeat. That's how you evolve, because this is how you change. We have to stop talking and become the wisdom. But some of this hurts. So if we, everybody's looking for the joy, but what about the work and the pain? So the work, pain, joy cycle is a must, because you're going to be working and you're going to be in pain and there'll be no apparent change and you get demoralized and want to quit. Where's my fix? But if you keep going, you will feel better, become a better person, and get to super consciousness, then repeat mastery. So work, pain, joy cycle comes up all the time in the training. Discipline. Discipline. Suffering, pain is the teacher and stimulant for the cultivation of spiritual power, i.e. the qualities, i.e. love. Read that, please. Big deal. Because if I know when the pain comes what I'm doing, I don't panic. Self-reform. Don't stop trying to change the world. We need all of the discourse and activities to try to change the world. However, unless we're changing ourselves, we're just repeating the same mistakes. When the new guys get the power, they just repeat the same mistakes. So let's evolve, each one of us as individuals. Let's not neglect that, because if you do, we're just going to be spinning our wheels. So change the world by changing yourself. And an essential part of that, it's highly neglected, is ego reduction. Ego is a complicated topic. Again, there's a full chapter on that in Healing Power, the workbook. But the ego is the CEO of physical plane consciousness. It's territorial, it's fierce, and it doesn't want to give up control. So when you come in with these higher self soul qualities, the ego resists and fights, right? So it sets up a battle between ego and soul qualities. And it's a wonderful thing to reduce the ego and let the soul qualities in, because you're going to feel better. At least that's me. This model talks about soul and ego, and it is important in the healing power world to recognize the difference between physical and spiritual healing. So the body may go forward, backward, or stay stuck, but we can always evolve spiritually. So read that section. This piece here, self-acceptance, accept where you are while striving to improve. That's the DBT, radical acceptance, and then the dynamic of transcendence from that state. So accept where you are to go forward. Somewhat paradoxical, because we like to resist and fight and deny, but this says go through in it to go through it. So I love myself exactly as I am, and too much to leave me there. That's a nice healing principle. The role of medication, how does this work? The bio, the pills, the molecules, and then the psychosocial spiritual. So this is a biopsychosocial spiritual model. I am, after all, a doctor. I do the molecules with kindness, but the psychosocial spiritual parts fits in the following way. Scale of 1 to 10. So 0, I have no symptoms. 1 to 3 is mild. Moderate is 4 to 6. Severe 7 to 9. Extreme 10. Mild, we don't need meds. 4 to 6, meds are a choice. 7 to 9, we need meds, and it's very hard to practice the methods. And 10, we can't practice. So we can do psychosocial spiritual stuff in mild to moderate, and severe and extreme, it's usually too much. So we need medicine. That's how it fits. Because when we can tame down the symptoms with meds to mild to moderate, we can then do psychosocial spiritual stuff. Risk and benefits a big deal because some of the techniques are invasive. Meditation, transformation of emotion, and forgiveness are actually invasive procedures that can cause flooding. So we have to do informed consent and be careful and know when to drive your car out the driveway because you're creating trouble. All right, I'm skipping through this, but you're going to read that and integrate it when you're doing your homework because you want to go to the head of the class. You want to be the best student. So this is important. Healing power is not a 45-minute twice a day practice prescription. When you work at a nonprofit, people that I work with are busy and overloaded with families and everything else that's going on. So, and clients as well. So not everybody can do this, and not everybody should do this. So, in growing up in these kind of organizations and seeing how things work, Healing Power says design your own program. So you're going to determine which problem, method, quality, traction device, wisdom pearl you're going to use, and you're going to determine when, where, how often, how long you will practice. From a minute, twice a day, maybe a few affirmations and breath work, chew on a wisdom pearl for 6 months, whatever you'd like to do is up to you. So from 0 to 360, you can have a few affirmations to full on religion and everything in between. Healing Power does not dictate the prescription. It gives you the options and you create your own treatment plan. How to add methods. The best practice position. This is a big deal. Calm, continuous concentration and the yo-yo effect. Please read that. The yo-yo is you try to focus on one point. That's most of the methods require one-pointed concentration for one-pointed consciousness. And then the mind, busy brain comes in and it yo-yos off of that spot. And you think, oh, I can't do this because my mind is out of control and I can't control it. Not true. The yo-yo is the natural process of meditation and of all techniques. Just know that it's going to be there. It will yo-yo. But if you keep practicing, the yo-yo slows and then finally calms down and you achieve stillness and you see the elevation that occurs within the stillness, and that's spiritual advancement. Stay in the present, minutes and moments. Quite a bit about here and now stuff, why the past and the future are good, but then they get in the way. So how to manage here and now stuff. Put love in the moment. There's a lot of power there. And then start slow, one step at a time. Don't go too fast or too slow. Too fast, you slip and slide. Too slow, you feel bad about yourself. And so how to get the right speed, and that calms everything down. There's only so much I can do today. So you relax into that. Then you pace yourself. It's a long climb. Do your best and leave the rest. Please read all of this. And then the scientific method metaphysics is a big deal because this is where you're going to prove stuff to yourself. So a guy like Shapiro or some other passionate teacher comes by and is all excited about what he or she has learned and wants to share it. And it's like, well, should I believe this? Or you read a piece of sacred text from the Bible, Bhagavad Gita, or Quran, or from Rumi, or wherever you get your stuff, from the Buddha. And it's like these claims are outrageous. Are these claims true? Do healing qualities grow? Is love more powerful than any painful problem? Does compassionate service to humanity give me peace of mind and strength? Do these methods work? What is superconscious? I mean, is superconsciousness real or imagination? And then the outlandish claim by some that the body is a temple that harbors the God of the universe, no less. What's up with that? So I read this stuff and I was going, I'm a scientist. I don't know. Agnostic position is science. I don't know. Float a theory, float a hypothesis, and then run an experiment. Does the body harbor the God of the universe? I don't know. So that's the agnostic position. Don't accept or reject, right? The atheists reject, the true believer fundamentalists accept, but maybe they don't have any experience either way. So maybe it's just, I don't know, is the highest state of learning. And you stay open and receptive and practice a method to prove or disprove the theory through direct personal experience. And if you find that meditation works, let's say, and it leads to peace of mind and the peace that surpasses understanding as a super conscious state, then you would be all excited about that. And you might not want to call it God, or you might want to call it God. You might want to call it the Buddha. You might not want to call it anything, but you've had this phenomenal experience. So you want to share it with interested persons. So you would keep it. And Healing Power Model actually offers a vehicle for how to teach this stuff at work. And then if you don't like it or don't experience it, discard it. Don't teach it. It's in medical school, it's see one, do one, teach one. Same thing here. Right attitude, big deal. When pain comes, it can blow us away. We panic. We add stuff by bad habits, running away, repression, denial, yelling, screaming, passing hot potatoes to other people. It's a bad thing. But if you set your sail up right, the pain becomes the teacher and stimulant for the growth of spiritual power, healing qualities, love. So what is the right attitude? How do I do that? So here's some suggestions. And the big one here, they're all big, but to just highlight little steps, little victories, so important. The way is paved with little steps and there is no big chunk growth. Doesn't exist. It's all little steps and little victories, and then they add up to big chunks. But that takes time and patience. So work, effort, little steps, little victories. That's the mantra. 1, 2, 3, 4 little steps, little victories. That's the mantra. And then here's a bunch of really important affirmations. I would suggest integrating this and teaching this. These are wonderful, powerful affirmations. Steady, slow, steady, this step, this action, right? These should be in brain grooves to calm us down and keep us in the really wonderful, balanced, calm energy. Slow, steady, this step, this action. Repeat that. Slow, steady, this step, this action. Knots untied, problems melt, balance and harmony result. So like I'm wanting to read through this stuff really quickly to make sure I get everything in, but when I see this stuff, it just grabs me and it becomes the mantra, and then I stop reading and I could meditate on this and it'll take me to a higher state. Right now, knots untied, problems melt, balance and harmony result. I'm just reading that and I'm feeling it. It slows me down. It's phenomenal right there. Anyway, I got to shake myself out of it. to keep teaching. Quick start. So here's the simplest technique. The whole model comes down to stop, breathe, reframe, stop, breathe, present moment, reframe, right? When I'm uncomfortable, mindfully, I say, uh-oh, look at what's here. And then I go, okay, maybe I have to spend some time in that and learn from it, but then I want out. So it's like stop, breathe, present moment. That's like the brakes. Yeah, we're going sympathetic to parasympathetic. And then reframe is PMQ. Roll the wheel. All right. And then a balanced healing program. That's some horizontal axis. Everybody's on that. And then add some vertical axis stuff and build from there. Morning program is progressive muscle relaxation, breath work, contemplation, meditation, prayer, and do a part or all of that. And then we'll set you up with aligning with love and her consort qualities. And then you come out and share those qualities with all whom you meet during the day by being mindful and practicing service. And for those who have a God, the presence of God, which is basically the presence of love or the qualities. And then the evening program is the same as the morning program. So then you're in one continuous sacred ritual. You don't ever have to get out of your spiritual program. Prepare for a rainy day. So what if everything that you have is on the horizontal axis? All your healing, all of your love, and all of your life is people, activities, events, and things. And then you get sick. My dad was a profoundly loving, wonderful human being, stable as anybody ever, like a rock, but it was all horizontal. And then when he got sick and had to move from his house to a condo and he retired, he went into OCD and depression. He didn't have any vertical axis methodology. Now, you see this clinically all the time. In emergency rooms, people are suicidal because the horizontal axis broke and they didn't have an internal program. They had no shift of the power base, the locus of control from outside to inside. Prepare for a rainy day. If your life is good and it's all horizontal axis, more power to you, but that actually can be the problem because when it breaks, which it has to, because everything ultimately has to go, and you don't have an inner being program, you can panic. People panic. They use substance to kill the pain because otherwise they'll panic or hurt themselves or somebody else. Now there's the addiction, and that just digs a deeper hole, and then it's like a suicidal or homicidal emergency. Prepare for a rainy day. Practice even if you don't think you need it. That means go to the inner gym, not just the outer gym, the inner gym. And if you do that, you're going to experience craving because everything that we do on the horizontal axis is a habit. So as soon as you try to create a little stillness and the yo-yo comes and it'll say, what have you done for me lately? I need a sandwich or a friend or a toy. Get me a toy. And then we go back on the track and run around on the track. That's craving. So if you don't answer the call of craving, you're going to, the pain wave will rise. So, but if you answer the craving, you won't grow. So you have to learn how to manage craving. Then simple flick of a switch or heavy lifting. Some of this stuff is to just give yourself a one-word affirmation: compassion, forgiveness, understanding, create space, stillness, spaciousness, serenity, one-word commands. But some of it's heavy lifting that requires journaling, introspection, working through a lot of pain for days and weeks sometimes longer. Heavy lifting. So we need to be ready for both. Everybody gets a turn. It's my turn now. Oh, wow. Oh, boy. Lifelong practice, right? This stuff doesn't go away. Be ready for anything. Life is tough. And light a fire, keep it lit, be ready for anything. Chip, chip, chip. Effort is progress. This is a big deal. It says go to page 264. I'm going there right now. So, where are you? So this is called a block of marble and the chisel of wisdom. So M and Q is the chipper, the chisel, and the hammer is, you're doing the work. And the image that you're creating is love. And so chip, chip, chip. This is a big one. A block of marble and a chisel of wisdom, chip, chip, chip. Because what you're doing is cultivating higher states of consciousness and healing qualities. And it's a lot of work. Change is slow, painful, and difficult. And sometimes it's overwhelming. So this metaphor helps because it talks about the 100 healing qualities and higher states of consciousness, which some people call the image of God or the Buddha. You're carving out that image, and you're going to throw the PMQ book at your problem, and you're going to be patient because sometimes these problems are deeply embedded and it takes time to heal. We need patience, discipline, and perseverance. We don't want to put a schedule on how long the pain will last. We need to hang in there and work the condition, however long or severe, and wait for this image, the qualities, to appear. Don't identify with the pain or problem. Put your needle of attention on the qualities. Practice peace, positive thought, and qualities, no matter what. Practice forgiveness for yourself and others, no matter what. And practice compassion for yourself and others, no matter what. And you will get some momentum. And if you keep going, at some point, this image of God or Buddha manifested as ever expanding love qualities and higher states of consciousness will show up. So this image, a block of marble, a chisel of wisdom, chip, 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 is a big one. So students in class will sometimes just say chip, 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 and then everybody in the class knows what they're talking about. So, because it means go slow, take your time. This is a lot of work, and it's going to take some time. Chip, chip, chip. Effort is progress. Effort is progress. So you're making the effort, you're moving. You may not feel it, but you're moving. So when you say to somebody, so this, if you get a client interested in this or a patient, and you're teaching it and they're complaining about whatever, and you can just say, chip, 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 effort is progress. And it's like a little bit of a cheerlead. It's a little piece of wisdom and it's a stimulant. Simplicity and complexity. Healing power is both. It's I started at this is a 35 or 40 year synthesis of my work and life and studies. I entered the entire story of religion, reviewing them all, like what's in there, and came out with, quite a bit of help and evolution. And then asked myself, what is that in a single word? So at its simplest form, it's love. And so love is a loaded term. I picked it on purpose, because I think it is love. But even though there's a lot of confusion around it, I gave it a definition as 100 healing qualities. And then the 15 methods in the pain. So there's the PMQ is the operations of love. And then it expands to 15 methods, 100 qualities. So it's getting a little more complicated now. And then it gets very complicated when you add the traction devices and you're back at the story of religion. So here's simplicity and complexity. But then once you see how all this works, you'll say, okay, here's where I am in all of this. And simplicity and complexity won't be an issue anymore. You'll just be able to define where you're at, and you can have as much simplicity or complexity as you want. Then deepest suffering and deepest healing. This model takes us to the cave of darkness, the most brutal of realities. And it brings the wisdom of the ages from the sages and saints and gurus and teachers to that brutal reality, to that cave of darkness. So it's the deepest suffering and the deepest healing. For those who want to go deep, this model can help you do that. All the while remembering that pain has a deep metaphysical purpose, the cultivation of higher love and higher states of consciousness. So that's getting started. Then the Serenity Prayer, very important. Hall of Fame of prayers. And this Two Frogs in Trouble Highly recommend you read this from the renowned and profound yogi Paramahansa Yogananda, Autobiography of a Yogi. Many of you may have read that. This poem comes from him, and the little frog keeps paddling. The two frogs hopped along into a pail of fresh milk, and they couldn't get out. So they kept paddling, but the big frog got tired and gave up. The little frog kept paddling, and underneath his little legs there was some butter that was the result of his churning, and then he was able to hop out as the result of his incessant paddling. So this is about will and perseverance and by dynamic will. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. Spark your will, make it grow from a spark to a bonfire. The importance of that willpower in healing. So that's a big deal. But then it needs to be balanced with surrender, because sometimes we're not able to get rid. Often we're not able to get rid of anything that we want to get rid of, outside or inside. We're stuck. So that's where surrender as another aspect of power comes in. So will is a power, surrender is a power, and how they work together, how will and surrender or acceptance work together, and the wisdom to know the difference. Hall of Fame. Because if you get the will and surrender program right, you'll be in the zone. You'll be in the flow of things, and you'll have the best possible deal. So now I am ready to go into the text boxes and illustrations. You know this one, or some of you do. Here's a little guy. He's in activity. He's on the horizontal axis, and he's managing the daily grind, worry, anger, fear, craving, loss, bored, lonely. Everybody gets that. So, and a bunch more. And his solution is to ride the board of unconditional love. Somebody told him that might work, so he said, "Okay, let me get up on that board." And he likes it. He likes to. He thinks that's a pretty good thing. So he wants to stay on the board. The game is to stay on the board, and when you slip off, get back on. And that's called skillful pain management, riding the pain wave. All right, now page 42. The car. The car is next. So this is called the car. Everybody gets a car. You remember Oprah one day gave everybody a car. And some people have called me the street Dr. Phil. So Dr. Phil, who was I think an acolyte of Oprah, sprung out of her platform. So I'm going to give you Dr. Phil. The street Dr. Phil is going to give you a metaphysical car. So this is better than a car, because this is going to take you to the state of higher consciousness. Look at that. This car will take you to the state of higher consciousness. So everybody gets a car. The PMQ is the universal wheel, the universal healing wheel. Everybody has PMQ. The traction for devices for the wheel are the stuff of religion. That's your choice. You choose from the cafeteria of options from 0 to full-on religion. And then the body of the car is, well, a question mark. That's the agnostic. I don't know. This is Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, Judaism, Buddhism, ethical humanism, scientific atheism. You pick the body. There's other options, right? The body of the car is your choice. PMQ is universal. Traction device is your choice. There's your car. Take that car to higher states of consciousness. All right. Next one is the ocean and the waves. Some of you have seen this. This woman is in the ocean of love. She has no complaints. She has no desires, attachments. She is completely inundated and surrounded and permeated with love and other associated healing qualities. That's higher love. She is in unconditional pure love. There's no body, no mind. It's pure consciousness, and she's in love, and she doesn't need to do a thing. She could stay there forever. But the world is there: people, things, loss, drama, fear, etc. But those are the waves of the ocean, and you can see that stream going through her head. She actually feels that. That's a stream of power going through her head. She feels it. So I use the ocean and the wave all the time to teach, and so we will be coming back to that often. That's the goal. I want to be there. I want to be in the ocean of love. Page 51. So we already did this: negative, positive, stillness, higher states. All right. That's when you do affirmations and meditation. Next one. So this is one of my favorite. This is called Dog Chases Bunny. Right. So if we're in a group or a class and we all have this language system built in, dog chases bunny. So here's this guy, this dog, that's us. And the bunny is what we want: peace, love, joy, power, wisdom. We want all those healing qualities. And we're on the horizontal track. We want them to be unconditional, absolute, unlimited. And it's not possible because the physical plane is dual and brutal, and it has limitation, and there's an end to everything, and there's suffering. But we're chasing that peace, love, joy, power, wisdom, and we can't get it. So we're frustrated. But she has got vertical axis stuff going. She's in the ocean of love. She's got 21. He's wearing the 20. He wants 21, but she's got 21. That's a blackjack metaphor. So this is a very powerful little illustration for teaching purposes. Dog chases bunny. But she is in love and stillness. So if you go to this day 16 devotion, is a feeling of intimacy with the inside of the cosmos. That's the meditating female, or the meditating figure. Enter the inner circle of the heart, the ocean of love. That's love supreme. Who could resist the feeling and power and the current in that stream? So notice these words: feeling, power, current, stream. Right? He's talking about superconscious love. And here's the formula healing power uses to teach this: meditate to stillness, add love, stay in that stillness, and super consciousness comes. Then it's higher love. All the qualities are growing. The ego is shrinking. The painful problems are shrinking. You're a more loving and kind person coming out of meditation. You then bring that to service, to humanity, and then repeat to mastery. So there's love, and stillness is combustible. Then 126. This is called another aspect of one continuous sacred ritual. This is in the chapter on harmony. All right, but this is mindfulness. When I read the mindfulness literature, I found it to be very confusing because I was trying to look at what are they actually saying, because they're saying so many different things in that literature, and it was all good, but I was trying to box it up into some organized whole. So I struggled with that for months. And in my view, it came out as 6 boxes: witness, school, entertainment, service, warrior, ritual. So when you realize you're going for a ride and train of thought and want to get off the train, stop, breathe, present moment, and then the reframe, one continuous sacred ritual. So where do I put my needle of attention now that I'm mindful and I'm in the here and now. All right, well, the witness is even-minded under all conditions. So I use 4 affirmations for that: stillness, silence, spaciousness, and serenity. But sometimes the pain is quite severe and it's very difficult. So then life is school. I enter the pain and extract the necessary lessons. But sometimes life is so much fun, play, entertaining, movie, sport, game. So I'm observing the show, I'm acting in a role, and I have some detachment. The burden is light, and I'm not taking everything so seriously. Uh, you could call it a movie. But other times I'm in service. I feel peace and joy in service. Warrior, ready for anything. Ritual, transform the mundane to magical miracles everywhere or sacredness, etc. And then other. So I rotate these frames, and like those 6 frames pretty much cover everything for me. But then if you're a creative, powerful poet like Rumi, his mindfulness involves the entire universe. So you pick the frame, the healing quality, the wisdom pearl, be creative. So there's one continuous sacred ritual. That is a powerful text box. Then the guest house. This comes up all of the time. So this is what I hope you do. Go through these text boxes and then come back and study these things because they're loaded. Read the guest house. This is basically the essence of psychotherapy, one could say. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, joy, depression, meanness. A momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Isn't it so? And he says, open the door, welcome, entertain them all, even if it's a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Pain is the teacher. Still, treat each guest honorably because he may be clearing you out for some new delight, healing qualities, higher states. The dark thought, shame, malice, meet them at the door laughing, no less. Invite them in, be grateful for whoever comes. So that's let the pain story unfold because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. This is spiritual power. Transform the pain to spiritual power. 2 doors is next, 163. So I'm sharing with you some very deep wisdom here. And I know it's a lot, so slow the tape down if it's too much and just absorb for a while. Meditate. 2 doors, this is big. Unskillful pain management, that's a big category. If you review the movie trace of your life and say in each scene, was it skillful or unskillful pain management? Those are the 2 doors that we step into. Unskillful leads to suffering, skillful leads to joy. So that read that. There's a lot there. I recommend it. And then 176, I'm just going to briefly show you a exercise here. Where's 176? No, I'm in the wrong one. This is interpersonal problem-solving discussion. Has 10 steps. So that's the Moses whispers in my ear, and there's 10 steps. Starts with the golden rule, then sweetness of speech or right speech. Focus on one problem at a time. Listen to the other person. Give feedback, how to give feedback, how to receive feedback. This is the key because we don't like the criticism, but we need it in order to move. But how do you hold your ground and not fly with defense? So to reduce reactivity, sometimes we need a timeout. So you go to your room, do some vertical axis stuff, then come back and negotiate. Persistent mastery. Read this. It's pretty basic. You can save a marriage. It reduces domestic violence. It's good for any interpersonal problem solving discussion. So this is I would recommend you read this Day 55 Mystery. It's a big deal. A Japanese master received a university professor who came to inquire about Zen. The master served tea. He poured his visitor's cup full and then kept on pouring. The professor watched the overflow until he no longer could restrain himself, and he said to the master, "It's full, it's overfull, no more will go in." The master said, "Like this cup, you are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup?" It's a big deal. So this chapter has to do with the mystery of life and the interface of medicine, that there are big questions in life. Why am I here? Who am I? What's the meaning of life? Why so much suffering? How do I understand suffering? What is death? How do I find peace, love, and joy in the face of suffering? Is there life after death? How do I get through all of this? I'm not going to read all of them, but please read these. And then if we ignore these questions, it's at our peril because it comes up in our own lives and in the lives of our patients and clients. And the medical model does not address it. We ignore these questions, and I say we ignore them at our peril. So read through this because this chapter has some recommendations on how to deal with this. It doesn't give the answers, but it floats the wisdom of the ages, and it says you pick. So what this does is it just opens up the domain of the big questions, the domain of what the great faith traditions say about these things, and how to approach it. Like this chapter uses the term the big space. So when we're talking about the nature of God or the higher realm, sometimes it's a good idea to just keep an open mind, and then you read, contemplate, discuss, practice, experience, repeat, mastery. And then you see if you do enter a higher states of consciousness, you can label it any way that you want. Like what does it seem like to you? Do you want to call that God, the Buddha, or no name at all? Right. So it's just, but go there, explore, and keep your mind open. Here's about the mystery of suffering and evil. Like it could be the God of love, but works in strange and mysterious ways: karma, reincarnation, agnosticism, atheism. You pick the box, but PMQ is universal. So that's a big, wonderful chapter. I'm going to introduce you to a technique that you may not have heard before called pranayama football. So this one is in the chapter on non-attachment. The origin of suffering is attachment, and the four yoga practices, love, serve, wisdom, and stillness. Well, it's all about prana. Yoga is all about prana, which is energy, and energy control. So pranayama means you're moving the energy from down and out to the world where there's attachment, addiction, and reactivity, to in and up where there's higher states of consciousness, in and up the cord and brain. So pranayama football is prana down and out, leads to this state of consciousness, and pranayama in and up, the energy in and up, leads to this right side state of consciousness. So pranayama football is a tug of war. I would recommend reading some of that. And then we are going to the movies. Yay. I love movies. I really do. Kind of addicted to movies and TV, if you want to know the truth. So, pure awareness. I watched the cosmic movie with calm detachment. What does that mean? There's a place in consciousness that's not your body or mind, referred to in yoga as the soul connected to spirit. There's no body there. You can't be hurt, cut, wetted, or burned. What does that even mean? So the movie is a way to reduce unnecessary reactivity because of our identification with the drama. we can reduce that excessive reactivity by spinning the wheel, PMQ. So here's how it works. The movie has 4 stages: immersed in the movie, spiritualize the movie, watch the movie, what movie? So here is the little guy. He's identified with his role in the movie and he's suffering. He wants to feel better, so he spins the wheel, PMQ, throws love at it. After a number of spins, he gets a little distance from the role. He's still in the role. He's still in the movie, but now he's got a witness. So he's an actor and a observer. He's watching the movie. A part of him is watching. He's got a little popcorn. He says it's not so bad. It's a movie. I'm a little detached, right? So he's relieved. Some of the reactivity is down, and he's got love in charge. Not so bad. Still may hurt, but it's not as bad. Sometimes it's fun. But then he keeps meditating. He keeps practicing all the methods. He throws the PMQ Operations of Love book at every painful problem that he has, and eventually goes into a superconscious state. What movie? There's no body there. There's no movie. There's no drama. It's pure consciousness. You can't be hurt, cut, wetted, or burned. That sounds nice. All right, so that's the movie. And then the house is the one. This is my go-to. The movie and the house are my go-to illustrations, because there's so much power and teaching in here. It's called the house. So cosmic love, that's well, let's start down here. 3-story house. First floor is the painful problem. The first floor is good, bad, ugly, great, and terrible. But for this purposes of this metaphor, the painful problems are on the first floor, regular human consciousness. Second floor is the soul, the 100 healing qualities that add up to love. And the third floor is the super consciousness, where there's no body there, right? So you're now in a super conscious state. It's a spectacular transformation. So the methods are the steps to the second floor. So in response to the pain, I practice a method. I cultivate a quality. That's the PMQ spin, the wheel, hundreds, thousands of times. The skillful pain management is the downward arrow. I'm managing the pain skillfully by bringing love down to the first floor. So I do that many, many times, like all the time, every day, as much as I can. And then I go meditate. And what happens is that second floor ceiling opens up. There's a hole in there, and a power comes in that is beyond comprehension, and it's exquisite. So that's superconscious love. The house has a tremendous amount of teaching power. I use that all the time. And the crucible is right down here. So this is under the quality called purity. Purify your eyes and see the pure world. Your life will be filled with radiant forms. That's literal. So PMQ, the crucible, PMQ in the same space. Refine your love, and the love comes in to contain, reduce, eliminate the pain, and guide you through what's left. That's the crucible. Please study that. We are almost done. Hang in there with me. There's a lot of power here. Please study this stuff, and then we can talk and go deeper. So this is a big one. It's called Heavy Lifting in the Gap Abyss, the Cave of Darkness. So this is brutal reality. Death, pain, and suffering, the unknown. We're terrified. Feels like God's holding us over the Grand Canyon by the scruff of the neck. Do you trust me? Not at all. I'm terrified, right? So the M and Q is the result is omniscient love, or love and wisdom. She's in the ocean of love. So there's a battle between love and fear. Some say that's the entire spiritual battle. Healing power will take you into the abyss and bring you to omniscient love. And it talks about how to connect the dots. Like, how do we do that? Comfort zone, problem, gap, abyss, spin the wheel, increase the love, back to the comfort zone, repeat, mastery. So there's some detail there. Deep stuff, important, powerful. And then 257, eh? So this is called the Bodhisattva's Vow. For those of you who have studied with the Dalai Lama or Buddhism, this says, so long as space remains, so long as sentient beings remain, I will remain to help serve and make my own contribution. So the Bodhisattva is saying, even after I achieve complete enlightenment, I've hopped over the fence and I don't need to go back. I will go back. And I'll go back again and again until every last brother and sister is liberated. So that's a big commitment. And some people take that vow. I think it's something to think about. I don't know if I'd sign on the dotted line right now, but it's definitely something to think about. I think it's noble. Maybe the highest nobility ever, one could argue. Bodhisattva, there's nothing higher. So this is a meditation technique. This is in the chapter called Stillness, and the last place they will look. This is a wonderful poem. The creator in a Native American parable, the creator gathers all the animals and says, I want to hide something from humans until they're ready for it. So that they can realize that they create their own reality. Give it to me, I'll fly it to the moon, said the eagle. Nope, one day they'll go there and they'll find it. How about the bottom of the ocean, says the salmon. Nope, they'll find it there too. So the buffalo says, I'll bury it in the Great Plains. And the creator says, they'll soon dig and find it there. Put it inside of them, says the wise grandmother mole. Done, says the creator. It's the last place they will look. So inside of us, right now, there's a place that is still, quiet, spacious, and serene. I call it the room of stillness. No matter how turbulent or chaotic our lives, we can find refuge, comfort, and rejuvenation in there because that space is loaded with healing qualities and healing powers. This is the place of deepest healing and the springboard for superconscious states. It is always there, inviting us to enter, but we don't go there. We don't look. It's the last place we look. So I am making a strong pitch for meditation. Here's a 10-step method that is a generic beginner's technique for meditation. Start a practice of meditation and combine it with all of the methods, but particularly transformation of emotion, because what's going to happen, transformation of emotion is the self-help aspect of psychotherapy. Anger, depression, fear, guilt, shame, embarrassment, humiliation, transform those feelings to spiritual power, meaning spiritualize the story. That chapter will teach you how to do that. You're already doing that, I'm pretty sure. But it's called here transformation of emotion. But here's what happens. Sometimes I want to meditate, get into the room of stillness, get to the expanded big space and get that joy and love and peace and other healing qualities, reduce my ego and painful problems. But I can't because I've got too much pain and the problems are swirling around that won't let me go. So then I practice transformation of emotion, which is let the pain story unfold and then spiritualize the story. So there's that Rumi poem, let that guest in and let it teach, let it sweep out, let it purify. And then love comes in to take over. Then I can meditate and get into stillness and get into the expanded big space. And then I have to do it again. So repeat, but then the process is ever increasing peace, joy, love, power, wisdom to ever increasingly useful service to all of humanity. So believe it or not, I'm done. And so I want to basically say, I hope you hung in there. I hope you see this stuff. I hope you see its importance, its power, its magnificence, and that you will integrate it, create new brain groups, get into trouble, get blocked, see barriers, get discouraged, come to class, discuss, hash it out, work through the barriers, and then keep going. And you will then develop the qualities in ever more purified fashion, and the feeling gets ever more joyful, peaceful, loving, compassionate, courage, strength, humor, all the good stuff stays in charge of your spirit. And you're going to feel better, become a better person, and experience super consciousness. Welcome to Healing Power Classes. Let's keep going. Thank you very much for your attention, and enjoy the work. It ultimately is fascinating. Take care. Have a beautiful day.